Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. I'm trying out Posca Paint Pens for the first time, and as you can see, I got myself two sets of colours, giving me a good spectrum of markers to choose from. And I also picked up a set of black, white and grey markers of the same size, and a bag of black, white and grey markers of varying different sizes. And I thought this would really help me if I wanted to try and work on smaller details, or if I wanted to add some outlines to my work. Having some smaller pens would be extremely helpful for any larger drawings I wanted to try. And the pens were easy to activate, and I immediately began trying out all the different colours on a grid that I'd quickly drawn beforehand. It's always so exciting to try out new art supplies, and I already loved the bright opaque colours from these pens. And after testing them on this grid, I wanted to work on some doodles to get a bit more comfortable with the way the pens worked. I thought this would be a smart idea instead of just jumping straight into any large drawings with them. At this point, I was already thinking of drawings I'd love to try, but I needed to get some practice first. So I just started with some small doodles, and I was so glad to finally try these pens out. They've been recommended to me quite a lot, online and by friends and family, saying how awesome and how different they are to use. Most of the time I tend to use art supplies that I can build up layers with, like pencils, Copic markers, watercolours, that sort of thing. So it was fun to try something completely different. I love how these markers create such an opaque layer of paint. It means I have to rethink and change my approach to a drawing, in terms of the layers especially, considering which layer to add first and then leaving the outlines to a later stage. I usually start off my drawings with the outlines and then I can add the layers on top. Like with Copic drawings, I can just add the markers over the top of the outlines without having to worry. But in this case, because it's thick, opaque layers of paint, I have to block in the colours first and then add the outlines on top. So I just needed to change up my order when working with these pens. The paint from these pens dries pretty fast too. It's like acrylic paint, which is really nice, because it meant that there wasn't too much waiting around between layers. I was worried that that would be an issue, but it really wasn't. After testing the pens for a little while, I felt like I was finally ready to try a more detailed drawing. And I'd had this idea in mind for a while. Actually, I'd been working on sketches of this cyberpunk character before I'd even considered trying Posca pens. It just seemed like a great idea to try with the bold, opaque colouring that I could get from these pens. As you can see, I sketched the idea in my sketchbook, trying to get nice clean outlines before I started using the Posca pens. And I'm really enjoying working in this mixed media sketchbook at the moment. It's been a good reason for me to try out more art supplies and more experimental drawing ideas, getting out of my comfort zone, which I think is so important. With the sketch ready, it was time for me to use the Posca pens, and I was a bit worried because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to create the smaller details, especially around the character's eyes. But it was fine. I just needed to be a bit patient. I worked on the eyes first, adding the different layers with the colouring, the outlines, and then eventually the highlights. And it was okay. I really shouldn't worry so much. I also have to say how impressed I was with the smoothness of the pens. During the test doodles I worked on earlier in the video, I was using smooth Bristol board, and the pens worked amazingly on that surface. It was a little less smooth on the mixed media paper in the sketchbook, but I was expecting that because it's a bit of a rougher texture on the paper. But it was still great, and the pens didn't cause any issues. It was so fun to work with paint in this way, and it kind of reminded me of all the time I spent working with acrylic paints, and that was quite a long time ago, but it helped me to think about how I would approach this as if it were an acrylic painting, so blocking in large areas of colouring first, before adding the outlines and the highlights to define the shapes and the details. And in the end, I found it kind of reassuring, knowing that after blocking in these areas of colouring, I'd be able to clean and sharpen the lines with much finer black and white pens. I enjoyed planning out all the different colours I would use on this drawing, and I liked the idea of the grey-toned cyberpunk mask contrasting the vibrant colours surrounding the character. And I haven't worked on many cyberpunk drawings before, so I definitely made this even more of a challenge for myself. I have to say, I really loved working on this. It was exciting to finally try out Posca pens. They're so awesome and so different from other pens I've tried, and I can't wait to continue trying them out. There's lots of ideas that I'm thinking of, and It could be really exciting, and maybe I could combine them with other art supplies in a drawing. So if I worked with pencils or Copics first, and then I could add the Posca pens on top, maybe that could work as an interesting idea. I'm also extremely happy with how this drawing turned out. Working on a cyberpunk style like this isn't something I'm used to, but I enjoyed the challenge. So be sure to let me know what you think of this, and also let me know if you have any suggestions for future art videos I should try, any tutorials or art challenges or any art supplies I should try as well. Your suggestions really mean a lot to me. If you want to see more videos like this, then feel free to subscribe to this channel, and any likes or shares on this video are hugely appreciated. If you want to follow and support my art progress, then be sure to check out the links in the description for my Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and Patreon. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you all soon.